Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank, and Smart, bringing people together.
Good morning. Welcome to Open Your Eyes, Start Your Morning Right. I'm Marlene Cuellar, and thank you for joining me this morning. It is a lovely Tuesday morning, a little bit damp. We've been getting our rains, thankfully so, after the extended dry. But it is a very exciting morning for us here at Channel 5. We want to remind you that we are kick-starting our brand new show tonight. KTV Latino, the live shows starts tonight. It's at 8:30 at the Bliss, and we have a great show lined up for you. You saw those who came out to audition last week, and this week they'll be going to the Bliss to get on stage and to wow the audience and those watching at home, and hopefully make it through the season to come out as the champ. Of course, the top prize is $10,000 and bragging rights of being Season 4's champion. If you're a lover of Spanish music, you definitely want to be out there. If you're a fan of El Buki, he'll be back tonight. He's Season 1's winner. He'll be back on the stage tonight to be able to remind everybody of his great talent, and then we start looking for this year's champion. Tickets are available at Channel 5 here on Coney Drive. They're also at 88 Shopping Center on Central American Boulevard, and you can also get them at Smart's downtown office. As I said, it's always a great time in the Bliss. The energy is just completely different when you're there in the audience, and you really get to see the true talent of the performers on stage. There'll be 10 people making it through to the live rounds, and you will find out in tonight's premiere. Remember that the tickets are $5. We do encourage you to get them early just in case they sell out. And as I said, we have multiple outlets, and be sure to pick them up. All right, and one more reminder, of course, if you are not going to be able to make it out to the live show, it will be live on Channel 5, of course. And if you're not in front of a television, don't worry, we got you covered. You just log on to Facebook, find KTV Latino, and you can watch it streaming live on your tablet, on your phone, on your laptop, whatever is most convenient for you. We just guarantee you not to miss it. And with that, we'll get moving into our birthday shout out for today, October 8th. Celebrating her birthday is none other than Brittany Morgan. Brittany, we want to say a very special happy birthday to you. That greeting comes from all of us here at Channel 5 and Open Your Eyes. Enjoy your day today. And in just a few, we'll be checking in on our weather. And we have Shania Young on the line. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today, Shania?
I am good.
All right, so it looks like the start of another wet morning here, but I'm not sure. Is that what we can expect?
Well, it will just be cloudy most of today,
Okay.
and but during the day, showers or thunderstorms will just be isolated.
So what's the 24-hour forecast looking like?
So the 24-hour forecast is for cloudy spells today and tonight, and showers or thunderstorms will be isolated during the day, except for a few more over the north and some coastal areas tonight.
And our winds?
And the winds will be from the east at 5 to 10 knots, which will produce slight seas.
And the high temperatures, what can we expect?
So high temperatures today along the coast will be 87 degrees Fahrenheit, 92 inland and 82 in the hills. And low temperatures tonight will be 80 degrees Fahrenheit along coastal areas, 73 inland and 68 in the mountains.
And for the next couple of days?
So in the outlook, a few showers and thunderstorms is likely to continue, mostly over the north and some coastal areas Wednesday morning and night. And during the day, isolated showers or thunderstorms can be expected inland Wednesday afternoon.
Okay, so we can continue to expect some
Nighttime,
showers.
early morning showers, mostly north and central areas, and then inland in the afternoon. But during the day, apart from inland, just mainly fair.
Yeah, and still warm.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look out in the tropics. Are there any systems that we need to be monitoring at this time?
Close to our area, no.
Okay.
So tropical cyclone formation is not expected in the North Atlantic, Caribbean, Sierra, Gulf of Mexico. There's just a subtropical system way out in the Atlantic, but near to us, nothing at this moment.
All right, well, that's good news for now. Thank you so much for that update, Shania.
You're welcome.
You have a great day today.
You too.
All right, bye. And there you have it. We are still expecting some showers for today and tomorrow. It's not constant. It is going to get warm during the day, and especially when it's not raining. But do keep that in mind. So keep your umbrella handy, your raincoat, whatever it is you need to keep dry. Do take that into consideration. And following up on yesterday's conversation with the Ministry of Health, keep in mind that we are still on alert for dengue. There are still a number of cases being reported each week, and you have the potential of developing a severe form of dengue as well. So do what you need to do to not get bitten by mosquitoes, and that includes cleaning up your areas so you don't have a breeding ground around you, putting on repellent to not get bitten. And if you do start to experience the symptoms of dengue, go on out to the clinic and get checked out, just to ensure that you're not going to get one of the more severe forms that can really lead to a prolonged illness and even potentially death. So keep that in mind. But we're going to get moving into our show for today, and we are going to have 3 very interesting conversations. We're starting off by talking with representatives of Compete Caribbean and Beltrade. They're launching this week a social innovation challenge. We're going to be getting all the details about this project, what they plan to do, who they're aiming to reach, and why they're doing it. And that's going to be the first part of our conversation. And then the second part of our show, we're going to be focusing on self-defense. We have representatives of the Muslim community who are putting together a self-defense course free for the public, and we'll get all the details in the second part of the show. And closing off, the International Day of the Girl Child is coming up, and we're going to get some details about some of the events that are going to be happening in commemoration of that day. So that's our lineup for this morning. We're going to go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, we'll get right into it. So please stay tuned. With started with our first conversation for this morning. We are talking about an upcoming event, very exciting, a Social Innovation Challenge. And it is a collaboration between Compete Caribbean and the Inter-American Development Bank as they celebrate their 60th anniversary. And here to tell us all about it, we have Dr. Sylvia Donnert, who is the Executive Director of Compete Caribbean. And we have Monique Usher, who is the manager of the Small Business Development Center from Beltrade. Good morning, ladies, and welcome.
Good morning.
All right, so before we move into what this challenge is all about, because it's very interesting and requires a lot of explanation, I wanted to start to talk about some of the work that you do individually. And let's start with Compete Caribbean.
Okay, thank you, Marlene, and it's so nice to see you again.
Yes.
So Compete Caribbean, it's a program that's financed by the Inter-American Development Bank, by the United Kingdom's Department for International Development, by the Caribbean Development Bank, and by the Government of Canada. So we have 4 international donors partners, and it's executed by the IDB. And what the program seeks to do is that it seeks to really reignite economic growth in the Caribbean region by supporting private sector development. We are active in 13 countries, including Belize. We're a technical assistance program, and well, we do lots of projects. And we've been very involved in Belize since 2012 with a lot of excellent results, both in the public sector, helping to support the private sector, and with private sector development projects per se.
Yeah.
And well, I can tell you a little bit more.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what are some of the areas that you've been working in so far?
Bueno, we've worked a lot with Beltrade, at the beginning especially, institutional strengthening of Beltrade, development of a strategy to attract the business process outsourcing sector, to develop the medical sector in Belize. We've been working with the Belize Shrimp Cluster over a number of years, first to help them obtain aquaculture stewardship certification, which is the toughest and most difficult certification to obtain for the social and environmental production of shrimp. And now we're supporting them to develop a biosecurity protocol for the whole country. It will be the first time in the world that kind of like a whole country has that type of protocol. We work with Caribbean Premier Products to help them prove whether the soursop drink reduced blood levels for diabetics.
Wow.
We're working with Belize Sugar Industries Limited to support them for drought-resistant seeds and provide technical extension to farmers around them. We are exploring doing a project also with those farmers that can extend access to finance to them through private sector financiers. We're with Beltrade and the Nature Conservancy. Actually, I'm going today to see the potential of a seaweed cluster project near Placencia with Fisher Folk and a women's cooperative. We're going to do technology extension services with Beltrade that's providing cutting-edge technology to businesses in the tourism and in the agro-processing sectors to really become competitive globally.
And that's what I gather from the work that you do. Essentially, it's trying to make products and services that already exist in the Caribbean more competitive by taking what exists and enhancing it. Tell me of some of the, you spoke of the biosecurity and how that's unique and will be first of its kind, especially for Belize. Tell me about some of the other innovative projects you've worked on, either in Belize or across the Caribbean.
Yeah, bueno, my favorite is one in Jamaica, which actually, I mean, could even be a social innovation project. So in this project in Jamaica, we worked with an NGO that had proven that Jamaica could export ornamental fish, which is fish from aquariums, to the US market, and that there was a demand there, right? And they had gotten technical assistance from USAID to create, like in the backyards of very low income families in Kingston, tanks where they could grow this ornamental fish. And they had done their first export, but that mortality was very high. It was like 20% upon arrival. And when that happens, buyers don't pay even for the live fish. So they approached Compete. We identified those projects through competitions, but what they were requesting was technical assistance to lower the mortality of the fish so that they could really penetrate this market. And we provided that. We actually contracted an Australian guy that they had recommended who moved to Jamaica for 2 years, work with all those low-income communities, work with technical extension agencies of the NGO. We help them build a facility where they would be quarantined and so on before exports.
Yeah.
And by the end of the program, they got a purchase order of 3.5 million US.
Wow.
This is involving 150 low-income
Wow.
farmers
Yeah.
in urban Kingston.
And it's raising fish in
It's
a tank.
raising
Yeah.
a fish for aquarium.
Yeah.
So it's very sustainable, and it really dramatically impacts the lives of these 150 people. I just find, that's one of my favorite ones. But that's the kind of things that we do. We look at ideas that may usually, when they're large projects, more than ideas, already with some track record, but where we can intervene with some kind of catalytic technical assistance that can expand this dramatically.
Yeah, and so then it makes the product, like if we think of the sour sap in Belize, and if it's proven that it does reduce the glucose level, then it becomes a part of the marketing for the product itself.
Exactly.
Nice.
We work a lot on markets,
Yeah.
in fact. Yeah.
All right, and let's shift over to talk about SBDC.
So SBDC Belize is a unit of Beltrade, and Beltrade is a part of the Ministry of Trade and Investment and Commerce.
Yeah.
And so for us at the center, our focus is on two areas: providing business advisory services and capacity building. And one of our stronghold is championing for entrepreneurship. The month of November is actually celebrated as National Entrepreneurship Month. And so for us at Beltrade and SBDC, we saw this partnership as a match made in heaven, looking at stimulating innovation and looking at creating that space for exchange of ideas. So for us, it's a challenge that we are in full support of, and we are encouraging persons who are out there listening, who are interested in looking at addressing social ills and social issues, to come and be a part of this event and identify solutions to problems that they might face within their community to enhance the livelihood of their members.
Yeah, so that's a great segue, because Monique, you've been on the show several times talking about working with entrepreneurs, and usually it's kind of starting off with a small backyard or in the kitchen idea and trying to help them to expand and become professionals in what they're doing. But how often do you find people venturing into what I know is commonly called social entrepreneurship?
It's something that's very common, especially with youths. That's where we find most of the social entrepreneurship ideas deriving from. I remember the last time we were on set, I had Miss Diona Pilgrim, and she developed shoes from recycled tires.
Yeah.
And so the past couple months, she's been spearheading initiatives that looks at offering shoemaking courses to women who want to have their own means of livelihood. So we do come across several ideas that, transcend just beyond the person wanting to make a profit, but looking at creating some economic impact within their community and having whatever knowledge they have shared with other members to look at developing ideas.
Okay. And this movement, I think, is one that is becoming more and more popular across the world. I don't know how much we have cases of social entrepreneurs in the Caribbean, but that's what the aim is to build with this particular event. Tell me where the idea started and how everyone got on board.
Okay, so I work at a division within the IDB called the Competitiveness, Technology and Innovation Division, which really tries to stimulate innovation in the end, right? And how with innovation you can solve even social problems, but solving them involving the private sector as well. And some years ago, about 10 years ago, there was an experiment called the iLab methodology. And at that time, what the iLab did was the innovation that the iLab brings is that it involves the beneficiaries or the ultimate beneficiaries in identifying very specifically a problem that is very important to them, and that it may be invisible to the rest of us, because sometimes when you're talking about poverty, exclusion, and so on, one of the features of that exclusion is the lack of voice. So you involve them using digital platforms to identify the problem very clearly, and then you open it to a contest of solutions that may come from anywhere, okay? And in that first iteration, it was very beautiful because the problem that was identified was for handicapped people that lived in marginalized areas, it was very difficult to move around.
Yeah.
Even if they had a wheelchair. Belize maybe is not so similar to other terrains, but in Latin America, often, like poor communities live on very slanted slopes with steps, imagine, and if you're a person in a wheelchair, it's very difficult to navigate that terrain.
Yeah.
So that was the problem that was identified, and that this problem in particular was put out to a global call for solutions. And this guy, he came up with a solution of putting together a kind of like the technology around a bicycle with something with
Pedals?
No, it wasn't pedals. You could do it with your hands, because remember, these are people that cannot use their legs.
Yeah.
But it was a wheelchair that could easily climb steps. It was very easy to repair. Anybody who could repair bikes could repair it. And with aeronautic kind of technology, you could easily move it with your hands.
Yeah.
Anyhow, and that was the one that won, and now that wheelchair is being sold, etc., etc. So just to put, an example.
Yes, yes.
Now the IDB has continued to do it in the Caribbean. This is the first time, and it's done it with, for example, communities at risk in certain areas. Like in Peru, there was one similar to Belize, because it also included like incarcerated populations and so on, in terms of identifying the problem, but around other issues such as water scarcity, environmental issues, etc. There are many types of problems that you could identify, and this methodology lends itself to many problems.
Yeah. So we've seen competitions in schools where, or amongst schools, I should say, where the hackathons and the other problem solving using innovation have been introduced. You give them technology sometimes, or you just give them the problem, and they really come up with amazing ideas. But they're all very local to a problem that they have just within their own community. When you take something like crime and violence, and in this country where it's something that everyone has an opinion about, everyone's been affected by, and you say, let's find an innovative way of solving it, what makes you think that you'll be able to get the type of ideas that can make some kind of meaningful impact?
You want to go, or I can go?
I think Sylvia touched on it earlier, and she mentioned inclusion.
Yeah.
And so instead of imposing an idea to them, it's having them identify what problems they face within their community and the wider scope of it. And if you look at our demographics, majority of our population is below the age of 30. And so it's looking at integrating them with identifying and coming up with ideas. If you look at this challenge, it has 4 categories, looking at parenting, looking at employment, looking at recreation, and education. So it's looking at integrating all those different categories and coming up with social innovation ideas that address issues that is faced as a society. And for us at the center, we've worked with the incarcerated. We've done trainings at the Kobe facility, and it's looking at rehabilitation. But from our standpoint, it's looking at also socioeconomic development. And so as persons championing for business development, we have to look and see what are some of the challenges facing society that is keeping us from, growing as a community and as a country. So from our perspective, it's to look at integration from that platform and looking at working with persons to develop ideas to address problems facing society.
Yeah, I would say also that there was a group that was on the ground that they've helped us in the past create these challenges, and they did focus groups with different types of youth and vulnerable youth, incarcerated and not incarcerated, and they came up with these 4 categories. So actually the idea is to get solutions that are specific to the 4 categories, and even within the categories there are sub-issues. So in the end, it's breaking down the problem that's crime and violence, which is huge, into what are the causal factors of crime and violence, and maybe trying to tackle one. In the end, the less ambitious you become and the more focused, the more likely it is that you get a good solution. I'd also like to say, just like Belize, crime and violence is growing across the Caribbean, related to many of the same factors as Belize. So in the end, we see this problem as having a regional market at least,
Yeah.
if not a market that also includes Latin America, because when I read the causes for the problems of that vulnerable youth experience in Belize, they're not different than my home country, Venezuela. They're not different than, I mean, the slant is a little
Yeah.
different, but it's not entirely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who's going to participate?
Yes, for this event, we extend invitation to entrepreneurs, students, private sector, looking at NGOs or stakeholders to be a part of the event. So on the 10th, we're having the launch and the ideation session, and it's primarily to showcase the initiative and to also provide them with the different timelines, with the different activities
Yeah.
involved in the Ideathon, and it's to create and stimulate that environment. So at the day of the event, it's to launch the program and also to sensitize the general public on their participation, because it's an open call. So if you're not there on the day of the event, there are still ways you can participate to
Submit a proposal.
submit a proposal.
So you just threw out some new terminology there. We need to talk about that. Ideation and Ideathon. What are those?
You wanna?
Yeah, so bueno, ideation is a process of coming up with a lot of ideas, and
Yes.
the ideathon is how do you work with those ideas and make them into a business model.
Yeah.
So at the event, there will be mentors that will be working with the different teams to figure out a workable business model on the idea that they have.
Yeah.
And they will have the experience of getting both that feedback as well as getting feedback from a pitch session.
Yeah.
Now, and they could even apply at the end of the event. As Monique was saying, the event is not the end in itself.
Yes.
The event is simply to get
It's a
ideas.
start.
It's a start. It's to get ideas flowing. If people are interested and attend the event, of course, that will be a huge benefit.
Yeah.
But the event will mark the launch of the open call. And
Yeah.
the call will be open until December. It's very easy to fill an application. So even people that have not gone to the event but that have good ideas can fill it out.
Yeah.
And what will happen is that in December, we'll select 15 applications based on innovation, the workability of the business model, impact, and the capacity of the team. And we'll have a 2-day boot camp in the first quarter of next year for those 15 teams. And then we'll select 3 that will get an actual between incubation and seed capital of 10,000 US each to develop those ideas into something larger.
Okay, so that addresses one of my questions, because, you know, trying to figure out where you go from just the idea. The idea is always the seed. And, you know, there are people who believe that they're dreamers, who are the idea makers, and then they're the executors. And usually if there's not that combination, things get difficult. How detailed does the proposal have to be? Because sometimes we do have, you know, what we called wild thoughts, but can be the generation of something great. But we don't know how to fit it into a business model. We may not know how to get the resources or what necessary elements we'll need to be able to make it viable. So how far do I have to go in putting together this process to submit?
Bueno, the application, as I said, is super simple, and in fact, it has a limit on words.
Okay.
So people are not expected, just in case that inhibits people from presenting themselves, people are not expected to submit a business plan, okay? It's really, this is the idea, this is how we think it will address a problem, and how it will generate money to be sustainable. So those 3 things. And there'll be questions about, you know, why do you think it's innovative or whatever. But what I mean to say is no business plan is expected. They're expected to develop that business plan once they're selected for the 2-day bootcamp.
With help.
Okay, with help.
Yeah.
So the bootcamp is an intense process, 2 days really working on your business plan with help from outside parties.
Sometimes when we are in a cycle of kind of seeing the same things over and over, breaking through is hard. And so your ideas may be a regeneration of something you've seen before. It may be, or we put our own limitations on what we think we'd be able to do. In your experience, how do you help people to break beyond the normal thinking and break beyond what we've seen done in America or the Caribbean or what we saw in a movie to really come up with something new?
Yeah. Bueno, coming with something new that has never been done before, I think is super difficult.
Yeah.
So we are accepting things that have not been done in Belize.
Okay. Okay.
But really, in those boot camps, people get pushed to really make it as local as possible and locally relevant as possible, and even to combine maybe ideas from different best practice models internationally. That incorporating, blending 2 or 3 already creates something unique.
Yeah.
Okay. But I also don't want to say, we only accept things that have never been done, because that's super difficult.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But at that event, the mentors will be pushing the envelope. What else can we put into this? What else can we put into this? And I loved what you said. People hold themselves back. I think the emotional part is the most difficult part. Like to have the self-confidence to not tell yourself, oh, this is not worthwhile.
Or it's a silly idea.
Or it's a silly idea, but really stick with it and test it and say to yourself, like, hold judgment and say to yourself, how can I improve it? How can I improve it? Involving a team. So what we hope to get at the event is like a really multidisciplinary teams.
Yeah.
They don't have to then apply together. They can go their own ways, but we hope to have people. There'll be a lot of vulnerable youth present. We hope to have teams that incorporate the visions of different actors. And when you incorporate those visions, usually your ideas are much better.
Yeah. When you think of a brainstorming session, a successful brainstorming session where you allow creativity to flow, you really can come up with some great ideas. When people hear this concept, they may think, okay, this is a student event, or maybe NGOs who work on are project oriented may be more inclined. But you're also opening it up to the business community.
Yes.
What's been the interest there?
It's been pretty phenomenal getting feedback from the business community. Again, it's looking at addressing socioeconomic development, and so the business community is very inclined to addressing and partaking in the development of that. So we've seen positive responses, and again, for us at Beltrade, we have different actors that we work with, and so it's a matter of us sharing that information with them and them also championing for an event like this. So we're pretty excited and looking forward to get the groundwork in and to have the ideation session. And of course, I know you mentioned on innovation, and of course at the event, pushing the envelope is also looking at introducing tools, like for example the Scamper tool. You might look at an idea that already exists, but how can I substitute, how can I adjust, what can I modify, and it's looking at integrating and sharing with them tools that you might have an idea already, but how can we refine that idea? So that's the general goal and end goal for the initiative also.
Yeah. So if someone has already attempted to try to implement this project before and they want to come to you and maybe compete to get the funding for the idea, they can also attend.
For sure, absolutely.
Yeah. Community groups.
Yeah, we're looking at applications that may be at the idea stage, that could be at the pilot stage, or already something developed that they want to take it to a next level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's try to broaden the thoughts of the people who are watching this morning on where they can go. You mentioned there are 4 critical areas, or 4 causative factors that you want to address. Parenting was one, the rest?
Parenting, education, employment, and recreation.
Okay. And all that will somehow impact the situation of crime and violence in Belize.
Yeah, or the situation of vulnerable youth.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me think. We've had so many guests on the show, but we've had the Backyard Garden Group, for example, who wanted to do backyard gardens within communities and get the young people involved. That would be an example of an idea that you...
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now there, one would have to think, what is the business model?
Okay.
And maybe that's the benefit of them attending the launch if they were to go.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
And are you also looking for just being able to, is it a social program, or is it something that will actually generate an income?
It has to generate an income for the people who run the idea, because if not, it won't be sustainable. So in the end, it's not encouraging kind of only social service projects. For the social aspect is super valued.
Of course.
But if there's no sustainability, there won't be a social impact. Yeah. That's how we're seeing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So clearly this has been a very exciting time putting this all together.
Yeah.
Yes. Very much.
It's called Change the Story.
Change the Story, yes. And want to share with them details on how they can get involved.
Bueno, first you can go to Eventbrite if people are interested in attending the launch and search for Change the Story and register.
Okay.
We have 85 confirmations already and we're locking it at 120.
Okay, so there's some space.
There's some
Some
space,
space.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
there's not a lot of, bueno, there is some space, like a third,
Yeah.
right? And then that day we will kind of like unveil the link.
Yeah.
Where people can go and apply, and the link is you go to the IDB website www.iadb.org. Maybe I should give it to you. and
We
you
can put it on our,
yes,
our
and
Facebook.
Change the Story Belize,
Yeah.
and all the information, guidelines, application, and everything will be there.
Yeah. Have you been surprised by the response so far?
It has been very, again, you know, it's not the first time we're doing something like this, so we knew the response would have been positive. So it's, you know, exciting to see on the day the players that registered actually come to the event and network and connect. And that is something that also the event looks at, creating that space for exchange, networking, and looking at sharing the opportunity available.
And as you clearly said, the launch, the event is a launch for the open call for applications.
Yes.
But there's an advantage to going to the launch itself.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, because you'll be exposed to part of the process and what you're looking for.
Exactly. And I think the experience of getting, you know, the mentorship and feedback on the pitch, that'll be great for those who attend.
So who selects the most innovative projects?
We'll have a panel composed of people from the IDB and Beltrade.
Yeah. And the markers that you're looking for, is it innovation? Is it
impact? So 25%, 4 criteria, each one has 25%. So it's innovation, impact, feasibility of the business model, and the capacity of the team that is submitting the proposal.
Okay. Does it matter if you have research grounding or data grounding your idea?
I'm sure it will benefit the proposal.
Yeah. Okay, all right. So it takes place this Thursday. Tell us how people can, you said you can sign up on Eventbrite. It's going to be where?
It's at the Biltmore. It's going to start at 1 p.m. Until 5. It's a 4-hour event.
Yeah. What can you tell people what to expect? For somebody who's never been to a challenge about putting together ideas, what can you tell people what to expect?
It's going to be very different from your normal event.
Yeah.
You're not going to be sitting on a chair listening to a presenter.
Yeah.
I mean, there will be a presentation.
Yes.
But more than half the event will be assembling yourself, self-selecting yourself into teams with people that you have never perhaps met before.
Yeah.
And working with them on an idea that you then pitch.
Yeah.
So it stretches people's boundaries, but in a nice way. And there'll be a cocktail at the end. There'll be animation. We're going to make it as relaxed as possible.
Yeah.
In terms of the setting, it's informal. People don't have to dress up. It's a fun activity. It's going to be fun, and it's going to be a learning process as well.
All right. And the criteria for applying, over 18?
Yes,
Over 18.
Any part of the country?
So you could be either a Belizean citizen living anywhere in the world. We want to attract the Belizean diaspora into this because we think that could bring in some great ideas as well.
Yeah.
Or foreigners residing in Belize. So anybody that resides in Belize, Belizean or not, and Belizeans that live anywhere in the world. Yeah.
I'm just thinking of all the ideas I've seen thrown around on social media every time there's a sensational crime that takes place, what we should be doing, what we could be doing. Here's your chance. It's going beyond the post. All right, so we want to wish you the best of luck. This definitely is a very innovative idea to have an innovation challenge, and we're hoping that you get some really great ideas put forward, and we'll see what comes of it next year. Yeah?
Thank you.
All right.
you.
Thank you for coming in. We are going to go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about a self-defense course that the Muslim community is going to be putting forward. So please stay tuned. And we are back, and we're moving into our second conversation for today as we find out more about an upcoming self-defense course that is being offered by the Muslim community in Belize. We have with us on set Naveed Mangla, who is the national president for the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat in Belize. We have Stephen Gab, who is a missionary. And we have Shamira Salam, who is the president of the ladies section. Good morning.
Morning.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Okay, so quite a bit to catch up on. And Naveed, let's just start off by talking a bit about what's been happening with the Ahmadiyya Muslim community.
So the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat is one of the sect of Islam that has been established for the last 125 years. What makes us different than all the other denominations of Islam is that we believe that the long-awaited Messiah has come. A person that was born in India in 1835 that claimed to be the Messiah, and ever since his demise in 1908, the mission has been continued by his successors, and right now our fifth successor resides in the UK. His name is Mirza Masroor Ahmad. The Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat is a Jamaat, or is a community that heavily believes that the Jamaat or a community or any religious organization should not be only to the mosque alone. So we do not only preach at the mosque, but we show by our physical example what a religious community should be like. So we believe that the two of the main things that Islam expects from a person is that, number one, your duties towards God Almighty, and number two, your duties towards human beings. So therefore, ever since being established in Belize for the last 5 years, you probably noticed that we've been very active in social services. Any way that we can help other human beings, we take it as part of our religious duties towards God Almighty.
Yeah. So, and you've had your youth programs, you've had sports programs, and you've really been kind of organizing outreach activities, not just for people from the community, but people who live in Belize and want to participate.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So we believe that when we serve people, we don't serve Muslims alone, right? And we do it without any hidden agendas that we're doing it to convert people. Even the basketball league, I always say that the commissioner of the league is a Rastafarian, one of the main people that organize, even one of the coaches that's working here behind the cameras. They're not Muslims, right? So that's the beauty of our organization, that we do not use religion in serving people. We keep because what's important is humanity itself.
Yeah, as a faith-based group, you provide the service, but not for recruitment.
Exactly.
And we've definitely seen that with the basketball program, and it's so popular and clearly very successful as well. So now we're shifting into providing something. I think that it shows your sensitivity and awareness of what's happening in society. And we're talking about self-defense. Where did this idea come from?
The idea basically came from a series of events that's been happening in Belize. I think it was earlier this year or late last year, where one of the young lady in PG was murdered, and then her spouse committed suicide. That person is actually the sister of one of our members. It was something that hit the entire country hard, because it's a relatable topic and a very sensitive topic where majority of our population are being abused, whether at home, whether by strangers. What was the straw that hit the camel back was the young lady that went missing in Belmopan, and afterwards her body was found. And so we felt that it was something that it is important that we continue build awareness and create more empowerment amongst ourselves. A lot of females that are in this situation, most of the time it's based on self-esteem issues, based on lack of empowerment, and based on lack of knowledge on how to defend yourself assertively, verbally, physically. So that's basically where it came from.
So you decided to put together what would be a 4-week course, and you're working with Renee Wentz.
Correct.
Tell me about that, building that connection.
So me and Imam Stephen, we are the pioneers of Youth Voices, and that's where we met Renee Wentz. So we are actually very good friends with Miss Renee, and so when this thought came up that we need to do something for our community in this regards, Imam Stephen suggested, let's go to Miss Renee. So we went and sat with her, and shush for a while, catch up, because as Imam Navid did mention, Stephen was away for a while. All of us grew up, and so we catch up a bit, and then we told her, this is what we want to do. When she was all in, she was so excited to hear that this is something we wanted to do.
Yeah. So you've introduced Stephen for us. Stephen, people might not recognize you this morning, but you are just back from Ghana.
Yes.
And you are now a missionary with the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, people know me before from Be the Next Superstar with The Truth and all of these things. I used to be an entertainer, but I felt a fulfillment in my life by feeling a spiritual connection with God. So my Muslim name is Ataul Haq, which is the gift of truth.
Okay.
Because from a youth I was always trying to find truth, and I feel that the Ahmadiyya Muslim community gave me that truth. Because the Holy Quran, which is the spiritual book of the Muslims, it has a lot of scientific things within it, and I love science, so that's why I gravitated towards Islam. And it gives you peace, and it gives a lot of discipline within your life, because from morning to night before you go to sleep, you have to remember God through prayers. So it gave me a lot of awareness of spiritualism and a love for God. And Ghana was not easy, but it was.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Tell me about your time in Ghana. What you were doing there.
Well, in Ghana, I did a 3-year course, which is a missionary course. I was in a village called Ikrafu. I learned a little bit of tree and different things. It was with 17 different African countries.
Yeah.
So it was a beautiful time. It was like a cultural shock, because like in Belize, you would never walk and hold the hand of a man, but in Africa you would do that.
Wow.
And they said that this is just how they show love. When I went there, it was like if they knew me from I was a baby.
Yeah. And what type of training do you go through to be a missionary? You said it was not easy, so clearly there's some discipline and some, the course itself was perhaps challenging.
Yes. Well, yes, because, I didn't know Arabic. The Quran is written in Arabic, so I would have to learn Arabic. I'd have to read it. And so it wasn't easy to memorize everything and, digest the deepness of the Arabic language.
Yeah.
And, being away from your family, the different type of food, the environment itself was not easy, because, they had malaria there as well. And when I caught malaria about 7 times, it was difficult for me, health-wise.
Yeah.
So
I think difficult would be an understatement.
But
there's no self-defense course for that.
But it was a good experience, and anyone that is willing to look into themselves for spirituality, I do believe that they should come to the community, because it not only gives you a sense of family, but it gives you a sense of feeling complete and whole.
Yeah. So what is your role now that you have been trained as a missionary?
Well, my role in the community now is to be an example, be a Muslim spiritual leader for my sisters and brothers of Belize. I'm the first of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community to be a Belizean doing this in the whole world. We're in about 214 different countries, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So I'm the first Belizean to ever take the course and finish the course, So I must be an example for my people, And what I'm trying to do is show them that Islam is not what people think. Islam is actually a peaceful religion. You know, we are also doing this course because Islam empowers women. A lot of people have a misconception that Islam subjugates women, right? But Islam was the first religion to ever give women the right to education, the right to vote, the right to property, and a lot of different things. So it's just like maybe 100 years since women have gotten these rights within the Western society. But 1400 years ago, Islam was made, and it is a God-given right for them through Islam.
You know, we've seen that the Belizean community has definitely welcomed the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat and the members. And we've seen people gravitating towards it, no different from the rest of the world. I believe the Muslim religion is still the fastest growing religion in the world. I want you to tell me, Stephen, what about connecting with the Muslim community resonated with you, and what's changed? What's the difference between the Stephen then and the Stephen now?
Well, for me, it's having a sense of satisfaction with my life.
Yeah.
Right? Every person has like this want to fulfill a purpose in their life. You know, many people will say, oh, I need to get more money. Or a man would say, maybe I need to get more women, or I don't know. But the materialistic world is not something that is fulfilling the needs of mankind as of right now. So before, when I was an entertainer, you know, yes, I would be in the spotlight, but I didn't feel full satisfaction with my life. So before I would go to bed, I would feel a bit depressed. But now that I've become a Muslim and I understand that I have a purpose in life and I am working towards fulfilling that purpose by having a connection with God, I feel that my life has full satisfaction to what I need to do in my life.
And you'll be the first comedian slash missionary?
Comedian, my brother is the comedian.
You were pretty funny too, Stephen.
Yeah, I'm
or
still,
poet. We'll stick with the poet.
Yeah, I'll stick with the poetry, but my mom here too, he's a funny guy too, you know. But I won't be able to go and do stand-up, but poetry I'm still going to do poetry. Also, there's going to be like a nice event at 501 Hub, so if anyone wants to go there and look at poetry as well, that's a beautiful thing.
Nice.
You know.
All right. And so, well, thank you, because I know that you were here and you just came back from your training in Ghana. Navid, having a Belizean go off and do this training, I'm sure is an accomplishment as well.
It is.
Yeah.
It is for us, yes.
Yeah. All right, so let's shift back over to our self-defense then. Is this for men and women, children? Who's invited?
It's for women. It's a women empowerment self-defense workshop. We are hoping to get a certain amount of people. Once it's successful, we intend to do more programs for 2020. In 2020, at that point, we intend to do programs for children, and inshallah, God's willing, we can also do a gentleman's program as well, because that's necessary too. So we have a lot of plans, not just sports, and we have a lot of social programs that we want to do for the upcoming year.
So it's going to be, tell me the details of the training itself. So we know Renee Wentz. She's been a show on the guest. She's been a guest on the show quite a few times.
Right.
And she does kind of a one-day training, but you're doing multiple days.
Right. So usually what she does, the program that she provides for most organizations is a compact 4 to 5 hour program. But after sitting with her, we agreed that we would split that program into 4 weeks. Having it an hour and a half per week, it then helps the working woman and the mother to have time to do that and get back to whatever they need to do, or just as opposed to focusing 4 to 5 hours of their time. A lot more people will not be able to make it. Also, we said that having it as compact for 4 or 5 hours, not everything stays with you, because what her observation was that there are some people that come back a second time because they missed, or not everything was retained from the previous program.
Yeah.
So we decided to split it up in 4 weeks. So each week we've allotted 1 hour and a half.
Nice.
It's going to be on Tuesday, starting October 15th, and it's going to be at the Gateway Center.
Yeah. And it's free?
It's $20 per for registration. So basically, the breakdown of it is that you're paying $5 per session,
Okay.
and it starts at 6 p.m. to 7:30.
All right. And for people who've never done the self-defense course, I'm sure you spoke with Renee, what kind of skills are they going to learn?
So it's a combination of theory and physical.
Okay.
So she gives the complete package. The theory includes discussion about how to indicate possible threats or perpetrators, how to be assertive, how to be very assertive verbally. Because one of the things that she's also observed and what she's mentioned to us was that a lot of the people that took her classes came back to her and told her how effective it was by not even having to physically defend themselves, because of the language and the body language, verbal and body language that she has taught them. They have rarely ever gotten to the point to be physical.
Yeah.
So she's going to teach that aspect of it, so that you can know how to de-escalate a possible bad situation.
Yeah.
With the physical, there are 2 parts to it. She's going to do bare hand, bare feet self-defense techniques, as well as self-defense techniques with weapons.
Okay. And is there limited space available?
Yes.
Okay.
We are only catering for 30 people.
30.
So it's literally a first come, first serve basis.
Yeah.
And even like with our members, we let them know if people come before you, then it's whatever space we have available.
Yeah. Okay, so how do people sign up, or where do they register?
So they can call 627-1547, or that's WhatsApp, or they can call or text 631-5925. Also on our Ahmadiyya page, we're going to put a link for the registration form.
Facebook.
On Facebook, yes,
Yeah.
on the Ahmadiyya Facebook page.
Okay.
So they can register digitally,
Yeah.
and then contact us in regards to how we will secure the payments to secure your space.
Yeah, yeah. So registration is $20. It's 4 weeks.
4
so
weeks.
4 weeks of an hour and a half.
Correct.
On Tuesday nights.
Correct.
Nice.
Gateway Youth, right?
Yeah.
Yes, at Gateway.
And it'll be at Gateway. This is definitely something I know that the community needs, and it helps a lot of women feel more comfortable moving around. Yeah. So what's been the response since you have started to say that you're going to do it?
We just started, well, for me, I just started to send out the flyers to to people's inbox. And my inbox is filled up with responses, so it's literally a first come, first serve basis, because a lot of people are showing interest.
Yeah.
We've all posted it on our story and on our Facebook page, and we are I know I'm getting a very good feedback.
Yeah.
So it's,
Can kids go too? Like if you want to bring your children with you?
if that's the only way for you to come, I don't see a problem with it.
Yeah. But the
because
training is for adults.
The training is for adults. We do intend to do a children's program too, because women are not the only people that are being targeted by perpetrators. Unfortunately, a lot of our children are being targeted, molested, and when I say molested, not only physical molestation but verbal molestation. Like I see my daughter's friends receive verbal slurs from guys, and they're in high school. So we intend to do, we have already discussed that with Ms. Renee, and so we're developing a program for children as well.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So it starts October 15th.
October 15th to November 5th.
All right. And you got to register early because there are limited spaces available.
Correct.
And all you have to do is contact the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, that's on Facebook.
Correct.
Or the phone number that you provided. We'll post that with our link later.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Definitely a much needed activity that can benefit people. And, you know, congratulations to you in putting it together. We really hope you have a successful event. Naveed, what's going to be happening next?
So beside sports, we have a couple of other things lined up for the youth. One of the programs that maybe Atawal can give more details is that we want to gather the youth and just focus on the more social issues that they're going through, and have them talk to each other about it. Then even for sports, we're expanding from basketball alone. We want to jump into cricket and football this year. So Ahmadiyya Football League and Ahmadiyya Cricket Club will be opening this year also. Okay. So just so we can benefit as many youth as possible around the country.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in, and thank you for telling us about what you've been up to and about the upcoming self-defense course, and best of luck.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right. We're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll be talking to representatives of the youth department about the International Day of the Girl Child. So please stay tuned. And we are back, and we're moving into our final segment for today. We're going to be getting all the details about an upcoming event celebrating the International Day of the Girl Child. We have with us on set Renata Samuels, who is the Communications Officer for the Department of Youth Services. Good morning.
Good morning.
And thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us in the first place.
So I know there's some celebrations that are going to take place in commemoration of this day, but it's one that we don't really talk about very often. Tell me a bit about why we celebrate the International Day of the Girl Child.
So International Day of the Girl Child started about in 2012 in October, when they realized how women are not being empowered, but girls specifically. And it talks a lot about where we want to be when it comes to moving our women forward. I know there's a lot of women movements, but sometimes we're looking at women and we're not looking at the young girls too, as what they go through. So this came about in the idea of trying to highlight young people, girls specifically, and look at their empowerment, looking at their role in society, where they want to be, and just empowering them to be more than what they think they can be. So there's this big event happening, and it's coming on this Friday, October 11th, I believe. Yes, I'm just trying to remember October 11th. And it's celebrating this, and it has a lot of booths out there. We've partnered with, well, it's more of a YAG direct event. The Department of Youth Services as well as NCFC, we've all partnered because we understand the importance of highlighting young women and letting them understand their role in society.
What are the unique challenges of being a girl in Belize?
I feel like, from what I hear from young people, because this is not directly from me,
Yeah.
a lot of young people, as being a girl in Belize, there's that body shaming thing, that wherever you wear, you are now stereotyped by your clothing, by sometimes your school, by what you choose to study and everything, and you're still put in a place because although we think that we're going very far with women empowerment, a lot of people still have that backwards mentality that women are supposed to be domesticated. So a lot of women go through that. Parents, we had a focus group in June, and a lot of young girls in the girl focus group talked about their parents telling them they can't go out because they're supposed to stay home, they're supposed to clean, that social life is not supposed to be out late and everything, and it's because they feel like a boy's place, they can go out there. So a lot of young people face it at home, they face it in school, and just a general idea of what you should do, and people in society sometimes is telling you what you should do.
You know, society, I think, is the conversation around issues like this that can be so varying. When we talk about women empowerment and girl empowerment, there are a lot of people who jump up now and say, oh, well, you know, we are putting our boys at a disadvantage now. I'm sure you've heard it. So talk to me about how you help to spread awareness about how equality is not about making it an imbalance, but more about balancing the fields.
Well, when it comes to spreading awareness, it's about allowing the women to understand how far we've come and allowing the men to understand the advantage they've already had from a long time ago. And I think that's what we sometimes forget, because we're pushing women up, and we feel that maybe the men are behind, but men have always been in the forefront. We live in a society where men, all our ministers, our prime minister is a male. So we look at politics, everything in that idea of leadership, and men, despite saying that men are not being pushed up, they don't really need that push as much as women need. So it's letting the man understand where their place is, how they can support a woman, how their mentality can change as well, and seeing where we fit and being equal, and then moving forward from there. Because until we understand our place and what we can do, the capabilities we can, and not looking at gender per se, but looking at raw talent, capabilities, what your skills are, then we can really move forward.
You know, and I find that it becomes more apparent when you look at some of the challenges that we still see persistent in our society today. One, we look at the issue of sexual violence, predominantly against women. If we look at teenage pregnancy, still a problem in Belize. We don't have much statistics on abuse, but we know anecdotally and from the data that is there that girl children and girls are more often abused than boys. So we still have quite a bit to do in being able to ensure safety at the very least. On a day like the International Day of the Girl Child, how do you spread that message that while people feel that there's a lot of empowerment push for women, we still have a lot of work?
Yeah, I think the message is spread through our actual girls.
Yeah.
I think it's one thing for our organizations to go and speak about this, but when you hear it from a girl that's experiencing it, it's a different story because you feel the heartfelt message from that person. And that's what we have on the day. We have girls coming up, and boys as well, doing their performances of participation, explaining how they feel about women empowerment, sexual violence, and so forth towards women. So it's up there. There are the booths that are going to be displayed, but however, the participation, the performances are by girls and boys. So they're going to be sharing their stories, speeches, songs, and whatever it is that they're performing.
So it's not an all-girls event?
No, boys are invited too as well. We're not excluding them.
Yeah.
Because they need to be informed as well. We can't just be pushing girls and telling girls everything, but at the end of the day, like I said, to make it be equal, we have to let the boys understand the girls' role as well.
Yeah. And the girls are going to be the one raising boys in the future as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let's bring this home to some of the things we've been seeing of recent in Belize. And so we had a bunch of videos all over social media looking at girls involved in fighting. We had the unfortunate issue of the minor who was a challenge for the police to be able to apprehend after escaping from the hostel. And so people are very critical now of what the female role is in the violence that we see in our society. You're a youth advocate. These are young women. What do you say, what's your perspective and thoughts on these things that we are seeing?
For these young girls?
Yeah, girls involved in violent activities.
Well, in reality, the perspective I have when it comes to girls being involved in violence, they are human beings just like anyone else. We can't look at girls. If we're fighting for equality, we have to understand that women can be violent just like men can be violent. It's just the procedures. And so how we handle these situations need to be very delicate because we're dealing with a woman as compared to dealing with a man and so forth. So like the apprehension of the young girl, looking at that idea, yes, she was violent and everything, but there are procedures you need to go by. So like looking at this, women have a voice, they have freedom of expression, they can go out and speak how they would like to speak and so forth, just like as a male can do so. So I look at the idea of we just need to understand women and men are capable of the same thing. It's how we handle these situations, how we talk about these situations that really make a difference. And I look at the young girls too as well. They need to just be very mindful. Women have a different lens looked at. So we go out there and you're already looked at as a different way than a man is. And we have to understand that truth because we're doing this empowerment and so forth, but we have to understand there's a lot of people that the message does not reach. So we're still being looked at negatively sometimes. So we just have to be very mindful of how we carry ourselves, the words that we say and what we say, let people listen and hear the correct message.
Yeah. It also shows that there is work to do in terms of conflict resolution and teaching girls skills in being able to resolve their issues.
Because a lot of girls are angry, to be very honest. And whether it be just because of the woman empowerment that they are not receiving, the sexual violence that they have received, the abuse or whatever it is, they are upset. So it's really teaching young girls how to really maneuver through those feelings because we are emotional beings. So learning yourself, self-awareness is one of the big steps that we need to try to push towards a little bit more, and then how we can transition from there.
You know, a couple of years ago, maybe, we did a forum on this day to talk to a bunch of girls from different schools. It's very enlightening to see how they still see some of the residual impacts of, when women were seen as a lesser sex. As a young woman, very articulate, very involved, what do you still see in terms of the holding back of women? Is it that we hold back ourselves? Is it that society still doesn't allow for room for growth or for expression? What is the situation today in 2019?
Well, I remember for Women's Month in March, we had a roundtable discussion actually speaking about this exact question and this issue, and we looked at the idea, and I could agree with the participants in that, is that women are giving a lot of opportunities now more than we were in the past. However, we have to fight a lot harder to keep those positions, to demand respect from the opposite sex and even from our own sex as well. Because that's a complicated part about women empowerment, because a lot of times we have women bringing down other women. So when you receive these opportunities, it's not that you feel yourself as a lesser being. You have to understand that some people look at you as a lesser being, so you have to fight for your role. You have to stand up, you have to make your voice be heard. So it's really pushing towards that. And we have come very far, get me wrong on that. We have come very far, but women, we need to still continue to stand up and rise. We need to take opportunities. We need to not be afraid of hearing no, and understanding that when we hear no, we can still push for a yes later on. And I think that's the thing, building the confidence in a woman, because we have these circumstances, we have this situation, this negative environment sometimes pushing us back, but we need to let our environment not dictate how we are towards these things.
Do you think that there's an enabling environment in Belize for women empowerment?
I feel that they are, because the youth groups have been rising up. We have Department of Youth Services, we have NCFC, we have a lot of places, we have a special envoy, we have all these places that are pushing towards women empowerment. So they are institutions that are there for these women. So it's really accessing what they have and seeing where your role is, how you can learn from this and how you can be better, and also empower other young women.
So the event that's going to be, it's an event at the BTL Park. It's a public event.
Yes, everyone invited.
Open to everyone.
It's free as well, so you could come out and you get entertainment. You have the booths displaying at both sides, so you'll have young people up there doing their poems, whatever role or whatever performance they choose to do. They'll be up there, boys and girls. We invited out the primary schools and the high schools, because we're not so focusing solely on young children. We're all age range. It's from 1 to 6, and you can come out and enjoy yourselves, be able to feel women empowerment at its best.
So if you were to leave a message, you are still a young lady, and in generations to come you'll be having your own child, I would imagine. If you had a future daughter, what would you hope would be different about her reality than what you experience today?
That's a really good question. I would hope that she can look around and her reality will be that there is equality across the board. She does not just see that a secretary has to be a female, or that our prime minister only is a male for so many years. And I put leadership because I'm very involved in the idea of leadership and politics and so forth. And I want her to look and see that women can take charge and lead just as a man can do. And I want it to be evident, not only telling her it, but she can see it. She can look around and see it. And then she can feel that empowerment also from other women. I want the atmosphere that women can start to support each other a little bit more. You can see it evident on Facebook. If you could complain about all these things on Facebook, let us support each other on Facebook, something more positive. So I would really like her to see the environment overall changing, roles to be switched around, and that way, because seeing is really believing a lot for people. And I think you can carry a message home even more if you can actually see the message being displayed for you. So I'm hoping for that. We have a lot to go, but honestly, we can make it if we just try to continue to persevere and persevere.
All right, great. I think that's a wish we can all share in. So the International Day of the Girl Child is commemorated on October 11th, and the event will be in Belize City,
At BTL Park, yes.
At the BTL Park.
Digi Park.
Okay. And what time does it start?
It starts at 1.
Okay.
And then it finishes at 6. There are different segments and so forth. So schools have been invited out, so you'll be seeing a lot of young people around, but that doesn't deter you, because there is something for everyone there, male and female. Just because it's International Day of the Girl Child does not mean it's not for males as well. Come and be informed, learn, get involved in the booths, see the participation of the young people, the performances, and really enjoy yourself.
So there'll be entertainment on the stage, and then there'll also be, I guess, informational booths for people who want to get involved.
Yes, so we'll have on both sides. We'll have different organizations displayed on the side, so you can get involved. So you can not just only look at this day as something for a performance, but you can see where you can play your role in society now.
All right. Well, Renata, thank you for coming in and telling us all about this event. We really wish you the best of luck. And hopefully we inspire more people to come on out and join in the different activities and organizations that are working to make life better for Belizeans.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to go ahead and take that final break now. And when we come back, we'll have our wrap up. So stay tuned. And we're back, and we want to say thank you for tuning in today. We really hope that you enjoyed the different conversations that we had. Starting off with the IDB and Compete Caribbean Social Innovation Challenge. It is such an interesting initiative. We hope that you have been inspired to perhaps come up with your own idea and submit it to this challenge. It is open to Belizeans and CARICOM nationals living in Belize or beyond. So for those of you we know who tune in on the regular from the diaspora, if you have an idea that you think can be able to help us lessen the issues of crime and violence that we see, take a chance. For those of you who are in Belize, of course, the launch event takes place on Thursday. It's from 1 in the afternoon right through to 5. You go online to Eventbrite and you look for Change the Story Belize, and you can be able to access the event there. Register and go on out, and let's come up with ideas to really do something within our communities that can change the situation of crime and violence. And then we also want to say thank you to the representatives of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat in Belize. They are going to be hosting a self-defense course. It's going to be at the Gateway Youth Center starting October 15th, and it's going to be 4 consecutive Tuesdays, an hour and a half each time. And so I think it starts at 6 p.m. You do have to pay to register. It's $20, but there are limited spaces available. We definitely encourage you, if you have the time, do head on register for this event. One of the best ways to be able to feel more comfortable moving around, especially if you've been concerned, is to get trained in self-defense. It really does a lot in terms of increasing your awareness and knowing how you'll respond if you come under attack. So that starts October 15th. You can register by going to the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat's Facebook page. There's going to be an online link there on their page that you can do the registration process and then work out the registration fee after. And then we also want to thank Renata from the Department of Youth Services. They are teaming up with the Youth Advisory Group, and they're going to be hosting an event at the BTL Park this Friday, and it's going to be in celebration of the International Day of the Girl. And there'll be booths of it, information booths out there. There are going to be performances. It's going to be a very interactive afternoon, all meant to inspire everybody who attends that we still have work to do in terms of empowering our young girls and our young women. But that's all the time we have for the show. One final reminder, of course, KTV Latino, the live shows start tonight. I know a lot of people have been waiting for this show, and it's officially back on at 8:30 at the Bliss. Get your tickets, go on out with your family, and if you can't make it out to the Bliss, catch it live on Channel 5, or go on Facebook, search for KTV Latino, and you can watch it streaming live there as well. It is going to be a fantastic night of entertainment. You really don't want to miss it. Don't wake up tomorrow and not know what people are talking about, because you're sure that's what they're going to be talking about. Check it out and enjoy. And do remember that the selection of these competitions, they're in your hands. You got to send in the votes. You got to show your support for your favorites. If you like somebody from the beginning, vote for them early, because you can't wait until later on. They might not even make it to next week. They need your support. So do keep that in mind. But for us here at Open Your Eyes, remember, if you want to contact us, send us an email at oye@channel5belize.com. Drop me a line at marlene_oye@channel5belize.com. Find us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ, and on Instagram at OYEBelize. And remember to tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 when you open your eyes to start your morning right. Until then, keep your eyes, your mind, and your hearts open. We'll see you soon. Enjoy your day, Belize.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank, Our Country, Your Bank, and SMART, bringing people together